All right, this week is all about getting back into the habit of tuning in and releasing open heart and getting back to body and witnessing your stories without spiraling, without judgment. Just let your body express itself in its full sensational beauty. We're going to start implementing this 2-minute rule. Instead of the daily heavy 20-minute reset for our nervous system, we're going to prioritize the 2-minute rule. Why? Because when you allow yourself to do something hard for 2 minutes, you get in the practice of being okay with the discomfort. And 2 minutes sounds less scary than 20 minutes or even 10 minutes. Rather than a huge boulder you've carried over your shoulders and weighing you down with resistance, we're starting incrementally shifting towards more self-advocacy in the softest way possible. Now, how might that look in your world? Maybe it's the micro moments where you see that those old spiraling thoughts come up, something you've heard before, a recycled thought like, I need to protect myself, or man, this is hard. And what you do is you put a hand over your heart. You close your eyes when you hear that thought, those thoughts, and listen deeply to what your body is communicating. This is an opportunity to release the trauma. Hand to heart literally can save your life, because in the brain, when you put your hand, i.e. an extension of your heart, towards your own heart space, the center of your chest, you are giving yourself a hug. So all those moments in the past where you needed someone to be there to hug you and love upon you and tell you that everything's going to be okay, here's your opportunity to reaffirm that, thus allowing the fighting to sting a little less, to have a little less of that backlash of defense, of the survival self from the past. You can hug yourself out of fight, flight, freeze, and regulate your nervous system back to safety by doing this hand-to-heart practice. And it only takes 2 minutes. I know it sounds so simple, so simple, but it is very profound if you truly give yourself a chance to be there by the gesture, hand to heart, and deep listening. Something that might automatically show up is that you may start to notice where you've let yourself off the hook when things get hard. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we all have some sort of shame behind letting ourselves off the hook. But if you can give yourself some grace and compassion towards you doing your best with what you had at that time, the shame is released, has the opportunity to be released. In reality, right now, you have a brand new choice to choose to think differently, and will need the help of connecting with your body during this transition to safety. So that is the homework for this week. There's extra credit though. The extra credit when you have your hand over your heart, you affirm out loud with your voice, the sound of your voice from deep within your belly. Inhale a diaphragmatic breath through the belly, and then say, you are safe. I got you now. I'm listening. You can repeat that as long as you need in those 2 minutes. And if you really want to test it, maybe later on in the week, say, what else is there? Be in the deep listening to those voices. And when you listen deeply just like that, don't judge the voices that come up. Just as long as you have your hand on your heart and you're listening with an open heart, with full intent, then all those voices that show up, what I'm about to say is really radical. All those voices that show up, they don't mean anything. There's no meaning behind it, because all those voices are from the past. It's coming up to be released, like bubbles in a soda can. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you're still living it. Just because it's coming up, that means that it's being released. And in your deep listening and your hand over your heart, hugging yourself in those moments, you are actually releasing the trauma bit by bit, 2 minutes at a time. The 2-minute hand to heart habit is the most important to play with this week. I believe in you. You can do this. Do it as many times as you need. Maybe find a soft alarm to give those 2 minutes, or if you are somewhere with a clock, you can see 2 minutes from that. But allow yourself to really sink in each time. And as always, capture on your journal so that you can really solidify what shows up for you. You leave it on the page, or you don't have to. And share with me anything that shows up. Like always, if you need further support, I am here. But that is our direction that we're leading towards this week, is our 2-minute hand to heart habit.